Well, I joked at the Humanist International General Assembly in Luxembourg that's just happened that unlike a lot of the people present from various other countries in the world, I'm not much of a free thinker. And the reason is because the reason I have a humanist approach to life really is because I was raised that way. So, I'm from a humanist parent, humanist family. Um, and so, I never rebelled, or like many of our members or many people who are involved in humanist organizations, I never sort of moved from some religious life to humanist life. It's just the way that I was raised. Of course, that's increasingly common, especially in the UK now, in other countries too, that should be the case. But it was the case for me. And I think that beyond my family life, which was um, humanist, as I've said, I did grow up in a very secular and I would say implicitly humanist culture. So, I grew up in a um, pretty depressed, or at least going that way, market of former mining town in the Midlands, very working class culture, so very sort of co-op-y, miners' welfare-y, civic centre-y. So, certainly churches and religion didn't play much part in most people's um, social life. And the sort of institutions that existed at the community level were cooperative institutions, or the sort of secular institutions that I've just described. So, when I met people in this work that we do now, who when they were growing up were involved in church groups, or scouts groups that went to church, or Sunday schools or whatever. That's pretty alien to me. I did briefly go to a Sunday school because I was the sort of child that liked school. And when I heard that an extra school was available, I managed to persuade my mum that she should let me go to this local one, which she did, being a broad-minded humanist. I didn't like it very much, so it didn't last long. But most of the social institutions I engaged with were implicitly humanist in that way that secular working class life, at least at that point in the 80s, early 90s, was. So that was my the ground in which I was rooted. And then I was very unusually whisked off to a very elite academic education, because there was, at the time when I was young, there was this thing called the assisted place scheme, which took children from very poor backgrounds and sent them to local independent schools if they passed an exam. It was 1979 to 1997 it operated. And it's funny how many people you meet who went through that scheme. And so I went from that sort of very secular community environment into um, an academic life that, for me, almost then exclusively focused on history and classics.